So far, Halo Infinite's been a really fun game. And that's it. That's the review. But no, for real, this game has actually beyond surpassed all of my expectations. Honestly, for any game in the last, 5 years at this point, it's been extremely enjoyable to play, and I've had a great time with it. I thought it'd be a good idea for me to sit down and actually break this game down and review it. And to do that, I'm going to have two categories. The first one being what I think's good in the game. Things that if they came at launch, I'd be happy with, or that I think they did a good job on so far. The second one being the things that the game's more weak in, or just things that I think need to be improved before the game comes out. It's really just good and bad. I just wanted to make it sound complex to be cute. And after that, I'm going to give it a rating out of 10. Seems pretty simple. I need it to be. I don't have a lot of brain power to give here. And just for clarification, this video is being made after the Big Team Battle beta weekend. All right, so starting with the good. The guns I thought were really fun to use. And the sandbox seems to be really deep. Honestly, one of the deepest and most interesting sandboxes we've seen in a very long time. I also really like the new weapons that they've added. I have that new shock rifle thing that I'm absolutely horrible with. The scatter shot that I'm also not very good with. Starting to see a pattern here. The spike gun, which honestly was one of my favorites in the entire weekend. Doming somebody with that is just one of the best feelings I had in this beta. Of course, it works good on vehicles, and I think it's a good balance for that. But just clapping somebody's cheeks with that thing, it's fun. And then you have things like the heavy rifle, which overall was a little bit lacking in my opinion, but I think there's still potential there. I think of a nice patch, it'd be a pretty solid gun. Of course, we've seen a bunch of classics come back, like the rocket launcher, the sniper, the assault rifle, the pistol. We also saw a rework of the shotgun. It's now like a semi-automatic kind of thing with a front grip. It's not bad either. It's actually pretty fun to use. And all these guns have a good learning curve. There's a lot of times where I pick up one of these guns and have absolutely no idea what I was doing. Like, it's veteran Halo players, something new to look forward to, something new to pick up and try and learn. Also, the balance of the sandbox is pretty solid. Of course, the assault rifle and the pistol are pretty strong, but I'm okay with that because I like having a strong starter weapon. And I can see an argument for a nerf for either one of those, but if they left it the way they have it right now, I don't think it's that bad. One thing I also noticed was a noob combo wasn't as strong as it's been before. I feel like there's a lot of times where my plasma bolt would just miss somebody, or it wouldn't be as laser accurate as it was before, and I think that's good. And then you also have the repulsor that can send back plasma shots. I said for the most part, it feels like they really balanced the weapons. There's a lot of benefits and a lot of negatives to every gun. And since everything's tuned really low, the gameplay is just so much fun because of it. Like when all of these elements come together, like if you're capturing an objective, if you have people coming in with how many different kinds of weapons, throwing down bubble shields, grappling from 20 feet away to fly in. Because it's all tuned so well, the gameplay ends up being really dynamic, and it's just perfect. I'm gonna try not to use that word too loosely, but genuinely, the gameplay loops pretty damn perfect. Which brings up the next topic, which is equipment. That was one of the big lures, I think, in this game, and something that I think they wanted to emphasize a lot, especially in their trailers, was things like the repulsor, overshield, the grapple hook, which is, grapple hook is just so good. And in my opinion, I think it's a nice addition to the sandbox. I think it makes gunfights fun. I really like the drop shield and the concept of being able to break out windows of it, but I think those windows could use a little bit more health. Like I was talking about, the grappling hook. They knock the grapple hook out of the park. And it has to be one of the most enjoyable equipments I've ever used in a game. And that's pretty high praise. There's just so many things to try if it's so many things to experiment with. For example, okay, can I latch onto a vehicle with my grappling hook? I gotta find out. Oh my gosh, I can! That might have been one of the coolest things I've ever done. I think the overshield is pretty balanced. I was worried it'd be a little bit too strong, but it has a nice activation time period to balance it out a little bit. So you can't just plop it and become invincible whenever you want to. There's a penalty for activating it. The spawns are also placed really well throughout the map. Like for example, if you're playing Capture the Flag on, what is it, Bazaar or Bazoor? Like I said, brain power. If you run straight through spawn, there's either going to be an invincibility or an invisibility cloak sitting right to the left. You can just grab it and head straight for the flag, or you can grab it on your way with the flag. You don't really have to go out of your way to find these things. Like I said, they're just placed really well. Sometimes you kind of forget they exist. Like sometimes you might not know if you have a repulsor, but I think I'd rather have it like that than them taking over the gameplay and not really being able to play without them. All right, now maps. They're going to be in this video twice, both in the good and the bad category. I think they flow and play great. I think they're laid out really well. Bazaar was a standout map for me, at least in the 4v4. That map feels like it was made for Capture the Flag. I think some of the most fun I had in these flight weekends was playing Capture the Flag on that map. I also didn't encounter any weird spawns now that I think about it. Like there was no times I spawned in and got absolutely clapped. Now granted, it's just 4v4. It's not like a game like Call of Duty where you have to balance 6 to 20 people in a small map, but still kudos for not having god-awful spawns. Thank you. Now the big team battle map is what blew me away. A map reminds me of the advanced Valhalla. I don't think they could have made a better map for big team battle if they tried, and I hope they do. I hope they try and top it. The objectives are placed beautifully. There's so many good spots where humongous gunfights happen. Halo maps really need to be made for objective play. I think that's the shining crown of Halo. And these maps absolutely killed it. And now moving on to the game stability, the game runs perfect. I might have encountered a glitch once or twice. I had to reset my game in the main menu, but that's it. Now I will let it be known, but I'm playing on an original Xbox One. I mean the one from 2014. My Xbox is old enough to be in second grade. For the most part, there didn't seem to be that big of a difference between what I was looking at this past weekend and what people who were playing on Series X or S or PC were playing on. And that was crazy to me. The game was beautiful. There were no visual glitches. I seriously can't think of a single visual glitch I've encountered this entire time. And like I said, it didn't look dumbed down. Maybe on the big team battle map, once or twice there'd be a smooth texture somewhere, maybe, but that's pretty good. It was so well optimized. And the reason this just blows me away so much is I played the Vanguard beta on that same Xbox, and it is the worst running game I have ever played. I have never experienced more glitches. Even in 6v6, there's like different spots in every map that I know if I stepped on would have set my screen into straight epilepsy. Like textures wouldn't load in. If I stood in the back of a room and looked at a wall, that wall wouldn't load in. And I was really worried coming into Infinite that my Xbox wouldn't be able to handle it. It is so well optimized, and I cannot give 343 enough props for that. If you're gonna make a game for a console, you should probably make it run well on there. I also love the ordnance drops in this game. Vehicles being dropped off by pelicans is really cool. It's pretty immersive too. That's just one of those little additions that just adds to the game. I'm also a fan of how the guns spawn now. I think their wall spawns look good. It's satisfying to take it off the wall and use it, which that's all that matters. I also personally like the timers on top of the guns. I know a lot of people think that that's a crutch, and I understand why they don't like it. I love when like a rocket launcher is going to spawn in and there's like that much time left on the little meter up top, and the entire lobby is just flying to that spawn, fighting over it for when it spawns in. I'm also okay with making things accessible. It doesn't really take away from the gameplay that bad. The movement of this game is also tuned to near perfection. I think sprint works in this game. I know, I'm sorry. But Halo needs to have sprint. But Halo 3 was popular in a very different time of gaming. That was 2007 and before that Halo didn't have sprint. Modern games move a lot faster than they used to. And for Halo to succeed in that modern market, it needs to have sprint. It needs to have faster movement. It needs to feel fast-paced. Sprint doesn't really change your speed all that much, and the sprint out time for shooting got reduced. So I really don't think it changes the game, like in a negative way, but it does what it needs to do to make the game feel faster to a newer audience, or at least give the illusion that it's sped up. It also has the consequence of showing up on radar when you do sprint, so there's a nice balance for it. Mantling is also greatly appreciated. It feels great to run, sprint, and slide, and just barely miss that ledge to be able to pull yourself up. Makes the game flow better, it makes the game feel better. I just think overall, moving in this game is crisp. It feels crisp, it controls crisp. Like I said, it feels modern while still feeling like Halo. I think they're going to do a good job at pleasing both audiences here. And I think that's something 343 really struggled with before, was making a game feel new while still pleasing older Halo fans. The art style of this game is also just... like armor looks really good. The guns are designed really well. I think the AR remodel looks pretty nice. The armor, in my opinion, is pretty god tier. I think the customization menu is one of my favorites so far. It rivals Reach, and that says a lot. You can customize pretty much anything you want to on your Spartan. You can choose your prosthetics if you want to. If you want to look like you're really bad at defusing bombs and just have 2 robotic arms, you could do that. It also doesn't cost credits or money to do it. You can just do that for free, which I think is pretty solid. There's a lot of different visors, and it looks like they're going to keep adding more. Halo customization was always one of my favorite parts of the series. It always kept me coming back. It's fun to grind for. It looks like it's having a nice rebound back from Halo 5. Audio's on point. All the guns sound good in my opinion. It is enjoyable to have a headset on, turned up playing this game. It sounds good. User interface is good. Might seem like a small thing, but if you have a really bad, unorganized interface, it's going to be really noticeable. I think the loading screen looks really cool with like the ship sitting there. Like I said, the armor menu looks good. It's all organized pretty well, pretty easy to go through. I also enjoy the new game modes they added, especially that fracture domination type mode and big team battle. That's pretty much it for the good. That's all I can really think of. If I'm missing something, you know, let me know. But that's everything that I noticed while playing, everything that I appreciated. All right, now on to the bad. And honestly, it's going to be significantly shorter because there wasn't much bad for this game, but there were a couple things I did notice. Guns picked up off the wall have too little ammo. That is the biggest thing that holds back that heavy rifle, is only having 2 mags in reserve, and the magazines only have 20 bullets in them. That is not enough. I understand wanting to balance it because it is pretty strong, but it needs to have at least 25 or 30 with like 3 or 4 mags in reserve. The Needler doesn't have enough ammo, and there's just a lot of times where you can get like 1, 2, maybe 3 kills of something, and then you got to switch back to your starting weapons. So you also usually don't take 2 different weapons off the wall or off the ground because you want to have something in your back pocket that actually has ammo. And good luck getting any ammo if you pick it up off somebody. So the game kind of just ends up being an assault rifle and pistol fight. I think it's just too common for people to be using the starting weapons, and if you put more ammo in guns, I think the gameplay is going to become a bit more dynamic and a bit more interesting. Now, staying on theme with the weapons, I don't think there's enough spawns of them. I think every map could probably use 1 or 2 more battle rifle or Needler spawns. Now, the big team battle map actually did a really good job at this. I felt like there are weapon spawns everywhere that there needed to be. Also, vehicles handle way too loose and way too fast. I feel like I'm Vin Diesel in Fast and the Furious 6 after snorting 7 lines of cocaine trying to handle the Warthog. I mean, like, if that thing goes from 0 to 60 in Mach speed, there's so many times where I'd end up just going out of control and sailing off something or hitting something. Of course, if I really sat here and like move my sticks very carefully, it wouldn't be that bad, but I shouldn't have to do that. I think they would just benefit from having their controls tightened up a little bit and slowed down a smidge. Now, for earning armor, I'm hoping there's going to be a little bit more to it than what there is right now, because right now it seems to just be the battle pass and the store with challenges to earn XP to level up, I guess. I hope we have some armor that you can earn by challenges. I mean, we even saw it in Halo 5 with like Achilles and stuff like that. I hope you can get armor for doing challenges in the campaign. Like, was it Halo 4 that if you beat it on Legendary, you got the Master Chief armor? Stuff like that's really cool. Having armor that's harder to earn gives it a purpose and adds to its value a little bit. Leveling, from what I noticed, I might have missed it, but there really didn't seem to be a leveling system in this game, not even like numbers. I hope they bring that back. I also really hope they bring it back in the form of military ranks. Military ranks in Halo are so much fun to do. They're so much fun to level up through. Just a little bit worried about the monetization. I'm cool with having a store and battle passes to buy. I mean, it's a free-to-play game. It makes sense to put in things to buy with money. and honestly, they deserve the money from it. I hope progression isn't neutralized by monetization. I hope monetization doesn't make it stale. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of leveling up? I could just buy whatever I want. I hope it doesn't get to that point. I think about games like Call of Duty where there's literally 350 bundles in the store. Like, at what point is it just too much and the game's oversaturated? I hope it's kept in check. They'll make money. If they do it the right way, they will make money in this game. All right, now coming back to maps. I said earlier that they play great and they feel great, and they do. I just feel like they're lacking some uniqueness that we saw in old Halo maps. I'm gonna excuse the big team battle map. That map's really good. That's totally exempt from this issue. Just when I think of good Halo maps, I think of maps like Last Resort. You had the little cave system that separated the spawn. You had the big wheel to ride on, the building in the back. Those maps are really memorable. These maps play well, but I think their designs are a little bit too safe. They play a little bit too much in that whole competitive arena play. And those maps have their place, of course. Like I said, that's it for the bad. I'm not trying to be biased, say this game has way more going for it than against it, but I really do think it's a great game. I really do love this game. I'm just so excited to see how it progresses. I cannot wait for the launch of it. Now for the rating, some people might think it's too high. I think I'll give this game a 9 out of 10 right now. It's very enjoyable. The fact that we're playing a pre-release version, and I was playing on an OG Xbox One, and it ran that well, and it was that fun, I think that says it all. If the game launched in the state that it was in now, I'd be beyond pleased. It'd be a great launch, especially by today's standards. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna stop talking now because my throat's starting to blow itself out. And yeah, if you're new, you should sub. I appreciate it. If you like the video, you should drop a like. Yeah, bye.